Good morning. Happy Turkey Day, Jared. It is here. We are feasting with the NFL Week 12 slate that is upon us. How are you? Happy Thanksgiving. Thankful for you.
Yes. Yes. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well. Thankful for all of our
Thank
Pickswise
you.
audience joining us on this beautiful, beautiful holiday. It is, I would say, probably top three holiday for me. I don't know where it ranks in your mind. I saw a lot of
Top
people doing
three.
like the food rankings, which we could discuss
Yes.
that too. But I would say top three holiday for me.
Yeah, in terms of food, I just have one qualm, and that is it. And that is canned cranberry sauce that you just jiggle out and it like stays in that same shape. Ain't nobody
Yeah,
got
that's
time
gross.
for that. It is gross. It disgusts me. That is my one qualm about Thanksgiving. Everything
Fair.
else I absolutely love. Right?
It's fair. I mean, I think there's a lot. Like, I saw a lot of hot takes about like where people's food rankings are. I am a non-discriminatory person in life, but also with food. Obviously, I've never looked a meal in the eyes that I didn't like. So I don't really think I have a ranking system for food. Like, I think everyone has their own special. Like, if I go somewhere unique for Thanksgiving, I want to like indoctrinate myself to their traditions a little
Yeah.
bit. So I don't have a food rankings. Like, I'm pretty non-discriminate when it comes to eating.
He's content. I like that.
Yeah, put it in
You've
front of me.
never
I'll
met a meal
probably eat
he
it.
didn't like. I'm the same way.
Yeah,
The only two
exactly.
foods I don't like are the canned cranberry sauce and tofu and beets. Three foods. That's it. Everything else I'll eat.
Yeah, I think you're good
Absolutely.
with the
So
beets and the
excited.
tofu on Thanksgiving. That's like a
Yeah,
that's
bye
like
bye.
a LA Thanksgiving, like a vegan holiday Thanksgiving. I probably
Yeah,
wouldn't show up to
I
that
can't do that.
Thanksgiving anyways.
No, nope. I'm so excited for the turkey, the stuffing, and we're going to
Yeah,
be
all that
stuffed
stuff.
with all of that football game action today for week 12. So let's get right into our Turkey Day preview. Let's start it out in Detroit. The Bills go in there for the second time in about 4 days where they take on my Detroit Lions, who, should I say, winning streak? 3 games in a row. They
Hell
got the
yeah, you
dub
should.
against the Giants week 11. The Bills back on track too. The backfield did a ton of work last week, 171 rushing yards and a touchdown. They won against the Browns. I know the Lions have 3 wins. They're not against any great teams. They beat the Giants, great, but also the Packers, the Bears. Not saying much, but a win's a win. How do you expect this game to go? Right now, the line is set at Bills laying 9.5 points. That total 54.5.
Yeah, not a ton of movement overnight. We discussed it. Please check out Pickswise Playbook. We did discuss
Check it
these
out.
games in depth. The one thing that it does intrigue me about this game is the status of the Bills defense. Because I think if you were going to ask me which unit of the four, Bills offense, defense, Lions offense, defense, is like the unit, like the top dog, I would say the Bills defense is the top dog. That's kind of their, hey, I know Josh Allen's great, MVP candidate, all that stuff, but the Bills at their core,
Yeah.
at this McDermott core, is a defensive unit, and they've been had a little bit over the last couple of weeks. They've given up 56 points. Their EPA per plays dropped to a bottom 6 unit. Their dropback success rate, over 50% of dropbacks are being graded successful against the Bills defense that, for the most part during this run of theirs has been a top 5 unit. And they're in this
Yeah.
part of their schedule, which is a little tricky. You know, they face the Vikings, then they go on the road because the stupid snow, and they have to play the Browns in Detroit. Then they go back home for 2 days. Now they're back
Yeah.
in Detroit. So this is a tough stretch for the Bills in terms of their vitality and their endurance. And I'm curious if their defense is really up for this game, as they've been up for some of the bigger games that they've played earlier this season. And they've kind of been, like I said, they've kind of been had the last couple of weeks. So I that's what I question here. I think the Lions have the perfect offense for a backdoor. Our pal Cleb TA did give out the Lions this morning on Pickswise.com, and the stat I'll toss it back to you with is, as a home underdog of 7 or more, Dan Campbell 4-0 against the spread. This is kind of where they excel, as that gritty underdog, and maybe they're down 10 late, and then the Lions get a touchdown or kick a field goal, and all of a sudden they lose by 7. Like that, it seems like it's going to
Mm-hmm.
be that kind of game.
I know. Honestly, like I feel like that too, and this may or may not be my best bet of the day. So I'll be getting into that in a little bit. I'm not going to break down this game too much right now, and I promise it's not just because of my Lions fandom. But make sure to stick around to the end of the show for my best bet of the day. Let's take it to the afternoon feast. So like that was like our appetizer, just to wet the whistle a little bit. Now we're getting in to the turkey
Breakfast
with the
for me out
Giants
here,
taking on. Oh
9:30.
wow, yeah, that's actually
Breakfast,
true. That's actually true.
breakfast with
Yeah,
the
that's
Lions
early.
this morning.
Breakfast with the Lions this morning. And then you get into, I guess, your appetizers. My turkey, the
Little
Giants
brunch.
taking on the Cowboys. Yeah, brunch. The Cowboys, right now, 10-point favorites. That line moved even from 8.5 to 10 overnight. That total also set at 45.5 to this one. The Giants have lost 2 of their last 3 after an extremely hot start to the season. And the Cowboys, man, they absolutely destroyed the Vikings last week. Tony Pollard couldn't be stopped. 189 yards, 2 touchdowns. And this is the second game between these two teams. The last time, though, Cooper Rush was under center. The Cowboys won back in week 3. Dallas has the best defense in the league. They forced 16 takeaways, Jared, and I feel like that's going to be really big here because the Giants coughed up the ball 5 times over their last 3 games. This is going to be a battle, but it's really hard for me to see the Giants coming out winning this game. But 10 points, it's a lot of points to be laying for the Cowboys.
Yeah, it's 10.5. Now I'm seeing some hooks being painted across the board here.
Wow.
Still a 10, couple of 10s out there in the market, but definitely 10.5. The prevailing winds continue to blow towards Dallas. No surprise there, because when you look at this matchup, it's just there's just not a lot to like with the Giants, and
Yeah.
you know we've kind of been sniffing. Smell that? Doesn't smell like Thanksgiving dinner. It smells a little like fraudulence, and that's been the vibe with the Giants for a while. I think I faded the Giants in 4 of the last 5 weeks. It started with that game against the Jags, which I still feel like we kind of got a raw deal there. And then we were big on them against the Seahawks. I don't think I bet the Texans game. And then we gave out the Lions last week on the site, and it was one of my contest plays. I didn't actually bet it myself, but it was definitely known that the Lions +3 last week was a pretty good look. And now we're getting 10.5. I mean, goodness gracious, it is a lot of points. I don't disagree with that sentiment. The Giants have struggled against the Cowboys of late. I think you gave the nugget yesterday, 1-10 straight up, 2-9 against the spread in their last 11 against Dallas. They're the most profitable under team in the NFL over the last 2 years, 31-11-1, 74% since 2020. So that kind of speaks to where their offense is, I think. The problem that I have here with betting this game in any capacity, besides just figuring out a way to get Dallas into a teaser or, maybe just laying it first half, whatever, is just the personnel for the Giants. I mean, their entire offensive line is out, and they're facing the best pressure rate team in the league. Their best cover corner, Adoree Jackson, is out, and they're facing a really good complement of weapons at wide receiver, including CeeDee Lamb, who I just think is going to have a field day in this game. Like, I can't make a lot of cases for the Giants besides the fact that Dallas on Thanksgiving 1-10 against the spread in their last 11. Now, last year's game has nothing to do with this year's game. So it's hard to look at those historical trends and make it about this game because, again, I don't have a lot of arguments to make for the Giants, even though that's the contrarian and the value, whatever, because the lines move so much. But I don't have a lot of nice things to say about New York right now.
Yeah, Giants are 2-9 against the spread in the last 11 meetings between these two teams. So something to also keep in mind. Both teams really bad against the spread in different situations. But that's going to be a fun game to watch. Dallas Cowboys, their defense is that dude. And it's just going to be, I don't know. It's 10.5 points is a lot. And the Giants haven't won at AT&T Stadium since September of 2016. They're 0-5 there. So hasn't really treated them great. Going into Dallas, going to be interesting to see how that one plays out. Last but not least, the dessert. Or I guess your turkey for the day because it's different time zones. Patriots.
I don't know what time I'm going to eat today. This is my first Thanksgiving in the Pacific time zone. I might have Thanksgiving dinner at like noon today. Like it might actually happen.
Seriously. Yeah, Thanksgiving dinner always turns into Thanksgiving lunch anyways. Like I'm eating at 1 p.m. today because we fly out to Houston.
I'd rather eat early, get it over with, and let the digestion and the leftovers.
And then you can have leftovers like multiple times without feeling bad about it. Yeah, exactly.
I might have Thanksgiving for breakfast today.
Why not?
As I'm
There's no
watching the
rules
line.
today. There's
No
no
rules.
rules. No rules
It's
for
like
you.
the Outback
Let's head on
commercial.
up to
No rules. Just
Mini.
right.
Patriots in town. The Vikings right now laying 2.5 points. The Pats had an exciting ending to a extremely boring game against the Jets last weekend. Rookie Marcus Jones punt return touchdown to get them the
That's a good way
win.
to
And the
put it.
Vikings had that loss against the Cowboys. They got their butts absolutely whooped. Kirk Cousins threw for a season low 105 yards. Going into this week, I feel like these are two teams with just completely different momentums, right? The Pats are back in the AFC playoff picture after last week, and the Vikings' defensive struggles that we've seen most of the season got the best of them. They're giving up a red zone scoring percentage of 71.4%. That ain't good.
Oh,
How do
wow.
you feel like this
I like
game's
that
going to
nugget.
play out? Are the Vikings going to be really, really hungry back on home turf? Because they're going up against a Bill Belichick coach defense that's been playing really well.
Yeah, how many food references can we get into? I feel like hungry,
Lots.
glazed, cooked, and
Hungry,
sliced
starving.
is one that I use a lot. That's how Kirk Cousins probably felt last week. So I've got a couple of angles here for this game. And one of them I'll save for my play of the day. And I'll be honest, this might be the most contrarian angle I give out of the entire week. But one of the rating systems that I use has this as a really high percentage play. And I've been kind of stubborn with these rating systems the last few weeks because we have a lot of data now to go off of after 10, 11 weeks of games. And the totals have been pretty spicy. So I'll save that for the end of the show. And I'll give you a little bit of a high-level handicap here. The reason why New England, I think, is very live here, and they're a 2.5-point dog. It's not like they're like this monster underdog. But the offensive line situation for Minnesota, which we've discussed it at times. We discussed it last week. I was very surprised to see Christian Darrisaw back at practice last week, basically after 48 to 72 hours following his Sunday concussion last week. Then on Sunday, a few days ago, he got knocked out again with another concussion. 2 concussions in a span of a week. So he's out for the foreseeable future. And again, it opens up just this massive hole on the Vikings offensive line.
Yeah.
So their backup left tackle, Blake Brandel, after Darrisaw left the game, Brandel gave up 2 sacks and 4 pressures replacing Darrisaw, and Kirk Cousins was pressured on like basically 7 out of 10 dropbacks from that moment on that Darrisaw left the game. And Dallas kind of, the Patriots have the same level of pressure rate as Dallas. So I see a lot of comparisons with that matchup. Now, that being said, you have to ask yourself what adjustments will be made, because unlike last week, Darrisaw was in. The game plan was Darrisaw's good. Let's push the ball down the field. With Darrisaw out, I could see the Vikings, knowing that going into the game, I could see the Vikings scheming a little more of a quick passing game, running game, a little bit of a different game plan for Kirk Cousins this week, and not just have him back there like a sitting duck, or I guess a sitting turkey today. So that's an interesting wrinkle to keep an eye on. Another thing to keep an eye on is just Kirk Cousins in prime time. I mean, if you want the numbers,
in general,
10-8, straight up 11-17 against the spread, third least profitable quarterback over the last 2 decades. But the flip side of that is 33-17 ATS off a loss in his career. He's the most profitable quarterback since 2015. So you get these dueling trends with Cousins, primetime bad, off a loss good. What do you think we get from the New England offense in this game? I guess is really the question. Maybe Bobby can shed some light in the prop category. But what is New England's offense here? Are they going to try to push the ball down the field? Are they just going to run it and try to keep it out of Cousins' hands? They don't trust Mac Jones a lot. That's kind of the question mark in this game I can't wrap my head around, and I think that's where the variance comes in. What is New England's offense, and what is their game plan in this game?
Yeah, absolutely, because we all know what their defense is. They're the second best scoring defense in the NFL. They've allowed just under 17 points per game this entire season. And also New England has been sneaky good, Jared. Like, they're 5-2 straight up over their last 7 games and 6-1 against the spread. like, but no one's really talking about them, right? They're kind of like
Nope.
that sneaky team that's sliding in there right now. And they could be like, you could maybe get a little bit of a good value on the Pats here in this spot. I don't know as much if
Sure.
as after last week when the Vikings got blown out, but that's going to be a fun game to kind of put a bow on Turkey Day. Let's talk to Bobby Stanley though. Bring him on in. Prop Holiday for some Turkey Day props. Give us some props. It's like a little side dish to the main game, which you'll love
It
to
is
see. How are
actually.
you? Happy Thanksgiving. Yeah.
Happy Thanksgiving, guys. This is awesome. I've never had to work or do anything on Thanksgiving, but I love it. I got
Welcome to
excited waking up
journalism
this morning.
and
I
media.
know. It's awesome.
I think I've
I
worked
was very-
every Thanksgiving since college, honestly. Like, if not Thanksgiving Day, then the day after or the day before. Like, I don't think I've ever had like the whole week off, like ever, since I
When I
got out of
was
college.
when I was younger, like in my early 20s and teens, I used to work at a hat store in the mall, so I had to open every Black Friday.
There you
It's
go.
probably the closest thing I got. But
That
no, this is
sounds
awesome.
horrible. Yeah, that sounds
I was
absolutely
there.
horrible. Nothing actually stresses me out more than Black Friday shoppers. I went one time and I truly thought that
Yeah,
I
that's
was
pretty
like
stressful.
in the jungle. Like I was like
I wouldn't go
throwing
to bed.
bows, I was pushing people. Like
But now you can do it all
I wouldn't go to
online.
bed.
Like I've got all my
yeah.
online nerd things ready to go on Amazon for tonight. Although you can do it early
Yeah.
now. It's like there is no more Black Friday. They want you to keep coming early. Pretty soon they're gonna do it on Halloween. They're like Black Friday, Halloween. Like it's like earlier and earlier every year.
I've been getting the emails for the last week or so. No, it's true. But this was like 10, 12 years ago, before internet shopping
All
is
right.
what it is. People would
I
show
can see
up.
you
I wouldn't go
working
to
in a
bed.
hat store, Bobby. I
I
can
was
see
a hat guy.
That's
I
on
was a hat
brand
guy.
for you.
That's my shtick.
absolutely.
But we got some good football today.
Yeah, let's do
We
it.
have some great football today. We have the appetizer this morning with the Bills Lions. We got the Turkey Day in the afternoon and the dessert in the evening, and we're so excited about it. Gabe Davis, you like him in multiple ways today. Tell us why.
I do. I like his matchup. I might have been a week too early on Gabe Davis last week. I was high on him, but let's look at his receiving yards. So I got this at 54 and a half, I think Monday night when I wrote this up. The line's at 61 and a half. So if you got it at 54 and a half, you should feel really, really good. But Detroit struggles mightily against wide receiver twos, 26th overall in DVOA. Davis does a lot of his work on the left side of the field. Detroit's 30th overall in passes to the left side of the field, according to DVOA. So it's a great matchup for him. And then you got no Jeffrey Okudah, the number one cornerback for the Lions. There's going to be some shifting around that Lions secondary. So if you got it at 54, feel like you got a Black Friday deal. But 61 and a half is where it's at today.
See, that little wrinkle right there that you just mentioned makes me a little bit less bullish on the Lions. Because
of
that
Okudah?
yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Okay.
what does Buffalo like? Does Buffalo want to run the ball? No, they don't care to run the ball. That's not their vibe. They really want to. They really, they want to push the ball down the field. So that's an interesting one. I did not know that he was not playing in this game. All right, let's move on from that. And let me digest that with my turkey. Dalton Schultz. This guy, so Dalton Schultz has been like the dude on Dallas's offense that no one's really talking about. That's had a really interesting season. I think his efficiency numbers for the tight end position are some of the highest rates in the league. He catches everything. He's like a vacuum cleaner. He's like my dog with leftovers. Like it's just sucks it up. What's your take on Schultz today? What kind of numbers can you offer us?
Sure. So I wrote this up. I love it over 37 and a half receiving yards. Then the line's at 39 and a half. Not too big of a jump. Still love it at 39 and a half. He's been awesome since Dak returned in week 7. Second on the team in targets in that span, only to CeeDee Lamb. So since week 7, he's hit this in 3 or 4 games. What was the one he missed? What was last week? In a 37-point blowout.
Yeah.
I think his snap count got really hit in the second half, but 3 or 4 every other way. Giants, 30th overall in DVOA against tight end, so it's a good matchup. He missed the week 3 matchup against the Giants this year. Historically, his last 3 performances against the Giants, 67 yards, 79 yards, and 70 yards. So great matchup for Schultz at 37 and a half, if you can find it.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch him and see what he's able to do. I want to ask you just about the spreads and totals of these games. Like, who do you think comes out on top of the Bills Lions? Do you think the Lions can cover 9.5?
I would take the Lions plus the 9.5. Bills, I do like money line. I saw Clev TA, our our resident guy, he put out a great stat with DeAndre Swift in the lineup. I think they're 6-0-1 against the spread when Swift plays. Swift is playing today, and he's probably the healthiest he's been since the beginning of the season. I would take the 9.5. It was 10 at some point. Now it's down to 9.5.
Yeah.
Ooh. I love
Another
that.
interesting
No,
point
and then what about
is the books are juicing these two favorites today because they want to stay away from the Thanksgiving teasers. You know, that nine is that teaser protection number, and that's another, you know, hidden point or so of value with both the Giants and the Lions. Now, you know, I'd be shocked if both of those teams cover. One of those teams is getting blown out today. I would say more Dallas blowing out the Giants than Bills blowing out the Lions, but stranger things
especially after what we saw last week in Minnesota too. That was an absolute drubbing. Speaking of Minnesota, I know. Do you think the Vikings bounce back here? Can the Patriots still be sneaky good like they have been over the last few weeks?
I do like the Vikings to bounce back here at home, presumably. You know, at home, I think is a big piece. They're coming off such a bad loss. It's their worst loss of the season. It's going to tell us a lot about them as a playoff contender. I know right now they're penciled in there as the NFC North winner, but can they compete with the Philadelphia? Can they compete with the San Francisco? We're going to find that out today when they bounce back off of that loss. I do like Hawkinson. I'm high on Hawkinson today in that game. We're coming off of New England in one of the most boring games of the season against a Jets defense. I want to say top 5 in the league. I really do like the Jets defense. Minnesota is not that. So Jacoby Myers is a guy I had my eye on in that Patriots game. I think he hits over on his receptions line. If we're talking about the whole game, I would take Minnesota giving the 2.5 at home. But I do think it's going to be a little bit more active than the over-under says. Hint, hint.
Absolutely.
I agree.
I love it.
I contrarian over, right? But like to me, Bobby, this game has a little over. I don't know why. Maybe it's a stupid algorithm that I'm following that tells me 24-23, and I can't get that score out of my head.
Yeah. Mac Jones will look significantly better against a Vikings defense than against the Jets. I'll promise you.
That is honestly very good.
He's been pretty efficient this year. He's completed 68% of his passes. I mean, he's throwing the ball probably an average of 30 times a game. He's not great. He's not a world beater. He's going to manage it, but he's been efficient.
What are the Patriots' weapons offensively? Like who are they pushing the ball down the field to in this game? Is it Devontae Parker? Is he in the game? Like, is it Nelson Aguilar? What does the Patriots' offense look like today? Like when you were capping the prop side for them, what were the little trends or the little nuggets that you saw? They're like, all right, maybe they can get a little success offensively in this game.
I think their offense is dink and dunk. It's play action. They're not going to stretch the field. They're not pushing the ball down the field whatsoever. No. But Jacoby Myers, in a contract year, is playing really well. If you got him in fantasy and PPR, he's showing up really well for you. I like Myers. I like Ramondre Stevenson. I like Ramondre Stevenson in the receiving game. And they've completely pivoted to this short passes are just as good as rushes. They had Damian Harris. The guy had 14 touchdowns this year. He's an afterthought to Ramondre Stevenson. So they've committed to making Mac Jones comfortable and just letting him manage the game. But can that result in points? Can they get a couple field goals, 1 or 2 touchdowns? I think against Minnesota they can.
Bobby Stanley, we so appreciate you. Happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy it with your fam and your newborn. I hope you have a great holiday. We'll talk to you Sunday.
Yeah. First Thanksgiving with the newborn, bud.
I'm on the mac and cheese and the mashed potatoes this year, so I'm starting my cooking as soon as we sign off. But guys, happy Thanksgiving!
At least it's not the rolls, because then you know you're a shitty cook if they make you bring the rolls, right? That's usually what it is.
No, I normally do the turkey. I got a break this year with the baby.
That's
nice.
But
thank you guys. Happy Thanksgiving. It's been awesome working with you. I hope you guys enjoy it with your family. And
love you, bud. Blessings to the fam.
Thank you.
Many blessings.
Happy Thanksgiving to you too. Proud holiday. Bye, Bobby Stanley. See you Sunday. All right, let's move on to college football quickly, Jared, before we talk about our best bets of the day. We'll just do a quick overview because there's some really big games going on right now, and I'm excited about it because I've been literally not able to sleep all week thinking about this Ohio State-Michigan game.
Stop it.
This is going to determine who's in the college football playoff. Notre Dame needs to beat USC, and Michigan, if they lose, they just can't be blown out, and they'll slide into that 4th spot. But your thoughts just on overarching all of the big games going on this weekend. the big divisional games. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I really don't have a ton of like college football like thoughts this week. This is a very tough week to bet college football.
Yeah.
The bowl season really is the prime week. Like I feast on bowl season. This week is kind of pick your spots very carefully. I did bet Ohio State. I apologize, but I did.
Okay.
I think it actually might get. I think I might have bet it too early. It might get down to 7, but once I saw the weather forecast in Columbus clear up a little bit, I wanted to get ahead of it because I think we heard weather early in the week, and that obviously favors Michigan because they just run the heck out of the ball, and Ohio State's more of a passing offense.
If Blake Corum plays.
I think Blake plays. I don't think he'll be 100%, but I think he'll
they'll shoot him up with a Toradol shot and call it a day. That's what they do.
Probably. And most likely what will happen is he'll play a great first half, and then he'll probably tail off late. And if Michigan's ahead, then that favors Ohio State because they don't have their closer. The one thing I'll say, like if you want some like notes for this game, let's just focus on Michigan Ohio State, honestly, because there's really no other game this week that really catches my eye, frankly. I know Notre Dame USC. It's a big game, but I don't know. Actually, I have some notes on that game too. We can talk about that game too. But I think the Blake Corum injury status is absolutely huge. But the difference in these programs right now, I think, is Ohio State, and listen, Ohio State's banged up offensively too. Mayan Williams out, Travion Henderson was carted off against Maryland. They're at a third-string running back. Now, to be fair, that third-string running back is like a 5-star kid, Dallin Hayden. He had 146 yards, 2 tutties against Indiana, had 100 yards, like he had 146 against Maryland, 102 against Indiana last week. So this is a guy that's, a really good player. And I think that's the difference with these two programs right now. You saw the drop-off last week when Corum left the game. Michigan doesn't have a third-string guy that's a 5-star. They really only have like 1 or 2 guys. Whereas Ohio State is so deep that they can go to the third-string running back on the depth chart and still give you 146 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. Whereas you saw the drop-off with Michigan, they're not as deep. And much as Harbaugh's recruited his ass off, I think Ohio State is on a level that we can't compare in the Big Ten. So I think Ohio State is deeper. I think they're a little bit better defensively. I think Michigan's not as deep defensively. Michigan doesn't have the same punch as last year when they just smacked Ohio State in the mouth. That was a lot of Hassan Haskins and Blake Corum together. Now you have no Haskins and Corum's banged up. So I don't know if Michigan's just going to be able to run it out there and smack Ohio State in the mouth like they did last year 40 times. But I don't think Ohio State's offense is efficient enough and, as explosive as they were last year either. They're really banged up, and Jigba's hurt, and, they've got the running back issue. So this game's intriguing from a handicap perspective, but I still think Ohio State's the right side. I think they win this game. I think they cover, but they got to go play.
Yeah, it's good. I'm excited. I know you and I are going to break this down a lot tomorrow, too. So we'll get into more college football tomorrow, obviously, with our bets and everything like that, because today is for the Turkey Day. But yeah, we'll break down Notre Dame tomorrow because I get to root for my 2 teams this weekend. I'm so excited about it.
People in the chat want me to do a swag bet. People in the chat want me to take a swag bet.
Okay, make sure. Hey, here's this. Make sure to tune into tomorrow. We'll do a swag bet for Ohio State, Michigan. Keep you on the edge of your seat.
If we do a swag bet, Michigan is winning by 30. Like, that's just the way it's gone.
Let's do it then. Thank
you're
you.
Begging me to do. But maybe this is this. Listen, it's one roll of the dice. I've had some crazy crap rolls in my day. One roll of the dice. Anything can happen.
You just have to get one win, Jared. You just need one win to really get back on track with that. All right, before we get to our best bets, let's get into Superbook Sports. Let's bet it, presented by Superbook Sports. Can you beat Vegas this football season? Superbook gives you the chance every week to go head-to-head with the best odds makers in Las Vegas. No fancy computer algorithms. No one across the pond setting lines for American sports. Just the best team of traders in the business at the Superbook in Las Vegas. Plus, some of the best odds boosts and promo bets in the country. If you're in Arizona, Colorado, Iowa, Nevada, New Jersey, Tennessee, download the Superbook Sports app or visit superbook.com to start your battle against Vegas. I love a good battle. Let's go to Pickswise.com. What do we got for our 3-star play of the days?
We've got a bunch. I'll give you Clev TA's. It's not an official 3-star, but anytime he writes something up for the site, we need to pay attention. And he does like the Lions today, and he gave some really good statistical nuggets about this game that I recommend you all go read. There's a couple of other picks on there, some soccer, some college football for this weekend. Keith Schmelter's against my actually, to be fair, Keith put the pick up first on the Vikings Patriots total, but I am going contrarian there, and I'm sure I'll regret it when it's 6-3 at halftime, but we'll go from there. I'll give you that hint before we go into this pick.
Absolutely love it. All right, your best bet of the day. You're taking it to the evening game, the little dessert to finish out our. Or should I start with mine first because I'm the appetizer?
Yeah, do your thing, girl. Do your thing.
Yeah, I'll do my thing first. Okay, so I'm also agreeing with Clef TA. I love, and this is not just because I'm a Lions fan, but I love the Lions plus 9.5. This is a great, great spot to get the Lions with a little backdoor cover. And I know they have 3 wins. I know they're not against the best teams, the Giants, the Packers, the Bears. And the Packers and Bears will have a combined 7-15 record. And the Bills' offense has been scoring 30-plus points in each of the last 2 weeks. The Lions' offense can keep up with them. The defense is where it gets a little tricky, right? The Lions' defense is worse in the league, allowing 28.2 points per game to opponents. Buffalo's a team that has the weapons to exploit that, but 9.5 is still a lot of points. And the Bills have only won 1 game since week 6 by 10-plus points. They are 0-5 against the spread in their last 5 against NFC North teams. And the Lions have gone 13-6 against the spread in their last 19 games. Also, the stat that Bobby Stanley gave us that Club TA put out on the site, 6-0-1 the Lions are against the spread when Swift is in the lineup tonight. Or when Swift is in the lineup, and he is today. So I just feel like this is a really good backdoor cover spot. The Lions are at home. They're playing hard under Dan Campbell. I don't think by any means they're going to win this game, but at least maybe their offense will be able to keep it close. And their defense has been playing a little bit more decently solid. I'm not saying good, but at least a little bit better over the last few weeks. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that the Bills don't blow the Lions out on Thanksgiving, what I'm used to seeing. So Lions plus 9.5, my best bet of the day. Who you got? Give us the dessert for the day.
Yeah, so the 15-game losing streak on Thanksgiving, does that end today there, Miss Detroit Jabbar?
No, it does not.
Okay.
I am betting the Lions money line because I do every week, but I'm not telling people to bet the Lions money line.
Okay. Yeah. I hope that it does. I think that would be a really good thing for the city of Detroit. And for the city of Jabbar. All right. So this is like super. Yeah, this is super contrarian. This is going against like every, logical statistic that I look at for this game. But like I said, there's a couple of rating systems that I've been, pretty hot and heavy on because they've been doing really well this year. And this one in particular with totals is almost at 60% on the season. So when this rating system drops their, scores for the week, they give a percentage of which total has the highest percent chance of hitting. The Dolphins-Texans under, which I gave out on Pickswise Playbook yesterday, was the highest under on the board. And this game, Patriots-Vikings, was the highest over on the board with about a 77% hit rate at a final score of 24-23 Patriots. So when that happens, I need to figure out a way to, why? Like what is it about this game that is flashing over vibes? So I can give you a couple of statistical things that maybe point in the direction. First of all, we know the Patriots defense has been fantastic. They're actually first in schedule adjusted efficiency this year. But the one category on Football Outsiders that I thought was fascinating with them, they are one of the highest variance teams in terms of DVOA this year, meaning they've had games where they've been fantastic defensively and have just completely shut out their opponent, like the Colts game, like the Jets game last week. But then they've also had a couple of stinkers where they've been on the low end of the DVOA scale. And I think that's maybe what we see here. Bouncing back for Minnesota after putting up I don't think they scored a touchdown last week. I think 40-3 was the final. So you get some bounce back vibes at home on a short week, and you get a New England offense that, figures out a way to move the football. Maybe it's Mac Jones being a little more aggressive. Maybe they ask him to do a little more in this game. And Yeah, I mean, I could see 24-23 if New England's offense gets a little less reliant on the run, but they're a very slow-paced team. The Vikings are a pretty fast-paced offense, so I like that, side of it for the over. The one thing that I'm just concerned with here is how New England gets there. And I think if it's Mac Jones, releasing the reins a little bit and letting this offense go, maybe that's more on the offensive coordinator side, I could absolutely see this game get over. I like the number a lot. It's 42.5 most of the week. Now I see a 42. So I think there's a little value there, but I'm just going to trust the numbers here and say that this game sneaks over late and we're eating our pumpkin pie while Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson are, hooking up for big plays down the field.
Absolutely love it. Turkey Day, Thanksgiving Day, lots to be thankful for. We have a feast of football games today. Jared, that's it for us. Find us on the Pickswise YouTube channel. Go to Pickswise.com. Follow us on Twitter. Jared Smith, Lauren Jabaro. We'll see y'all tomorrow breaking down all that is college football on Saturday. Let's get it. Let's bet it. Happy Thanksgiving, guys.